This is Google Street View. It's Google Street Scenery. And hi Jim, good to see you. So this is Amsterdam. I paint one Amsterdam scenery in my course a couple weeks ago, and I thought I revisit the place and look at this good scenery to paint. Now what I did is, so I go to Google Map, and hi Danilo. So I go to Google Map, I just search different places. Obviously this is Amsterdam, and just kind of go down here. You can kind of see this place with a bird's eye view. If you hold down Control or Shift and you left click and drag, you can change the angle and camera view and things like that, and you can look around. Okay, so obviously we're not going to explore too much because I spent quite a bit of time doing that already. And here's like a little guy, and if you grab him and just drop him anywhere, it will go to the street view of that specific area. Okay, something to sort of watch out for, because you see there's a lot of little dots. Sometimes if you drop them on a dot, it will be somebody else's photo instead of Google's. Okay, so you kind of want to make sure that it's by Google, and the reason for that is only the photo by Google you can actually walk around the place. So it's a nice building. So I decided to pick this scenery because I like the building here, and has a nice composition to it. So another little trick that I do is that if you look at this clock here, if you click on it, it will show you same place but in different times. Google updates itself quite often. So right now is the latest one is 2018 June. So if you gonna drag across, it will see a different time. It will give you a little bit thumbnail update as well. So I actually go to October 2016, and I like this one the best actually, just because of the lighting and the water itself. So I like this one the best. And you can click, you can look at it in a different time. So all the way back to 2008. If you click on the thumbnail, it will take you back to that time. It's really cool. It's kind of like taking a trip in time, sort of like a little time travel. This is actually very nice. Okay, and you can actually see the same place in different time. And cool things about this is that it will give you different lighting, so you never know what you end up with. Okay, so again, my favorite is in October 2016. This is Google. This is Google's Google Map. You can use Google Earth as well, but you can use Google Map. There's a little bit more feature in this street view when you're just using Google Maps. So just go to Google Map in your browser. Okay, so obviously you can turn it around and things like that, and you can move it around. So the problem for this one is the building up block because of the tree. Okay, and if you go to 2008, the building is not blocked, but I like the water and the lighting for the one in the 2016 here. This one, I really like the water here. It feels really defined, and I like the the lighting on the tree here. This is by far my favorite view here. So what I did is I took a screenshot here, and let me see if I can find it. Yeah, so I took a screenshot here. This is a screenshot, and then I took another screenshot. Oops, there's a huge truck blocking it. Okay, let's go forward in time. And I took another screenshot, and I am not sure where did it go. Okay, so I took another screenshot here. So I take the dome of the building here. So I took another screenshot here, and I just kind of photoshopped that back in, get rid of some of the tree here. Okay, so that's basically what I do. All I really need is this, and the rest of everything else will be fine. So I basically travel virtually in Amsterdam, and I take a photo, take a screenshot, and I'll be using that as my reference. So it's just a little bit of something that you can do, and Google Earth is such a Google Map is such a wonderful way to sort of traveling the world without physically going there. If you go to Paris, okay, I'm not gonna spend too much time on it. I want to get painting. If you go to Paris, you can see this evening 3D view, which is quite amazing. Okay, you can see all the buildings and stuff, and you can again drop your little guy here. All the blue line is where you can actually drop him. So I will drop him here, and you can actually see the place as you're visiting there. Okay, so quite nice, very nice. So we're kind of sort of doing like a virtual plein air or something. So one thing that you should be watching out for is that doing this is fine, but what you need to understand is that the lens that Google Street View is using is on top of a truck, right? So all the cars are lower, it's under your eye level. Another thing is it's really wide angle. That's how you can take a 360, like even a sky. So if you want to use it that's a little bit more accurate to the field of view of a normal people, you usually want to zoom in a little bit. So this looks a little bit more accurate to what we were looking at with our own eyes, as opposed to this. Like your eye probably will not able to see that much, and everything becomes super small. So remember to zoom in a little bit, or take a screenshot and crop it. Okay, hope that little thing is helpful for you guys, and let's get to painting. Let me switch view here. Hi. So we're just gonna get started. I have my reference here on the side, and let's just start to work on this. All right. So one thing that I want to mention is that when I start painting, when I get into the zone, sometimes I start to speak a little bit softer, so it will sound like I'm mumbling to myself. Whenever that happens, send me a chat, let me know that, ask me to speak up, because sometimes I do forget. So sometimes when I'm painting and I am a little bit focusing, I'll speak like this. So I'll speak a little bit too soft. In that case, let me know, so I will speak up for you. Okay, so it's just something that sometimes it happens for me. Okay, hi Maria. Hi Draymond from Italy, Sydney, Australia. Excellent. Okay, so let's just get started. We'll start it with our drawing here. Okay, let me move the paper a little bit to the left. Okay, so let's just get started. Okay, so here we have, so we got some trees, buildings and stuff. I'm just gonna block out a very basic shape here. So we have our major shape here, which is the building here in the back. I actually don't know what building. I don't know if it's a cathedral or something. I've never been to Amsterdam myself, so which is a benefit of internet and technology. I get to visit a place without physically being there, which is kind of nice. Okay, building here, and then we got some trees, foliage here. Very roughly just block out the shape here. Okay, and we'll probably have like a boat here or something. Okay, so I might need to shrink the building down a little bit so we can show a little bit more water. Okay, so blocking out a big shape is pretty important when you just get started. Don't go into all the little detail just yet until you are sure you are coming up with the composition and the big major shape that you want. So in this case, the big major shapes are the buildings, and the buildings and tree here, the tree here, basically the tree shape like the sky, all the buildings and the tree, and the water. So we want to have a nice big shape there. Okay. Hi Sylvia. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, technology is here, so I think we should definitely utilize it. And I am not able to travel that easily just yet. My kids being very small, they have problem even just fall asleep lately, so a little bit of struggle for me. Anyway, so I think we got a nice shape going, so we can start to get a little bit more detailed here. Let me hide my face so it'll be a little bit less distracting right now. Okay. Hi from Taiwan. Ni hao. I am from Taiwan as well. Okay. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see. Okay, so I'll start with just doing the building here. Got something on top and the little tower thing on the top, and we have this small dome here. Okay. And okay, I'm not gonna draw anything too crazy and complicated, but what we do need to do is to kind of define the lighting here. So I will shade here a little bit just to indicate myself that's where the shadow is. Okay, and a little bit of structure here. Here's the roof. Washington, USA, that's where I live. Hello from Russia. Nice meeting you. Okay, so and we got another two, sort of a tower here, like a pointy top here. Very loosely draw that in. Okay, don't need to make it too complicated. It's an important shape, but it's a background. Okay, so, and notice that I don't really lift my pencil up. I don't want to break that train of thought, and I don't want to make the line very broken. Try to keep that line flow. Okay. And we got a building rooftop here peeking out. And here's another building right here. Okay. And we don't see much the rest of it because it's all covered by the tree here. Okay. So a huge part of this painting will be the tree. Now, I have nothing against the tree, but it will be a little bit tedious, so hopefully we can try to arrange it in a way that the tree will actually look somewhat interesting. I am thinking to kind of just face things off on the side here, so it will be a little bit more sort of dreamy, atmospheric feeling to it. Tree trunk down here. There's some cars, I'm just gonna ignore it because we're going to do like a boat down here. Okay, so okay, here's the canal. Okay, there's a bridge going across. Okay. I am not going to do a lot of detail in this one. Some tree here as well, and that's pretty much it. Like a couple, some details here. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna do a boat here. Here's something here and another boat here. I'm just gonna move this boat up. So we have, okay, we are way above the boat, so we are seeing quite a bit of the top of the boat here. Okay. Okay, it's a little flotation stuff there, and that will be our boat. Okay, and that's it. There's another boat here. Should I put that in? I'm actually not sure. Yeah, maybe we'll put in something here. Yeah, maybe we'll put like another little boat here, just to have something else here so it's not so empty. Okay, there's a car here again. I'm not gonna do that, it's just gonna be distracting. Okay, so maybe another boat or something there. Okay. Alright, so we're done with the drawing. We're just gonna go ahead and start to do our first wash. Okay, very rapidly. I am pretty tired, so I am not going to do a very detailed painting. I'll try to keep it as loose as possible and as simple as I possibly can. So to simplify this complicated scenery will be our main task here. Alright, so I do want to do a little bit of cloud here, like a sunny cloud. So what I'm going to do is to grab my brush. I'll just grab a little bit of leftover color here so I can have something to look at. There's no cloud in the photo, so I will have to sort of invent it. So I am thinking if I just have a little bit of cloud maybe here, that might be interesting. I want to keep this simple so the building can pop out a little bit. So I will just paint some water And I mean, I can see the shine and stuff, and so I'll define a little bit of cloud shape here. The rest of it I'll just sort of randomly wet. Okay, I'll grab a little bit of cobalt blue. I'll mix a little bit of cerulean blue in it, and I'm just gonna drag that brush there, so we got some nice blue in here. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so we got like this cloud here, because I only wet it here, so the wash is not gonna come down anymore. Okay, I can adjust it a little bit while it is still wet. Okay, and I think very quickly. No. Okay, I'm just gonna use clean water and soften this part up. Okay, I'll grab a little bit of water, grab some warm color here. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll hide my face. Sorry, I forgot to switch the camera. So I pre-wet some areas and then I put some blue in it. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of water here, somewhere down here. And I'll break this part. I'll connect this. Again, sort of randomly. Okay. All right. Let me switch a brush. And I'll mix this somewhat of a darker color. I'll add a little bit of alizarin crimson. Still grab some blue here so things will be sort of neutral. And in the wet area, I'm just gonna paint a little bit of value here so it shows some volume. And because I paint inside the wet area, it's going to be a nice soft shape. Maybe a little bit darker and a little bit cooler. Okay. Don't overdo it though, it can be, yeah, it can look too dirty too fast. So, okay, and yeah, I think that would do. Just a little bit of cloud, you know, just want to break up the sky a little bit, and that's about it. And I'll take my big brush and I will, this is raw sienna or yellow ochre, I forgot. And so I'm just gonna continue that wash down. I mean, honestly, not a lot of stuff we really need to worry about right now. Okay, just get some good atmosphere going and keep this wash mostly clean. You can gonna grab a little bit of raw sienna and add some warmth to it. Some warmth to the light here. Okay. grab some cool color again and just kind of nice, warm and cool play on that, and I will skip around a little bit, leave some random highlight, and okay. I'm gonna have a clean water. I'm just gonna fade this off to the side here. Okay, now the water reflecting the color of the sky, so we'll get some blue back. Okay, try to be careful and not paint onto the boat. We try to preserve some highlight here, so there we go. Okay, you can paint under it, which is fine. Just preserve some highlight. That's all. Okay. And as it comes down, a little bit deeper blue. Okay, that's our first wash. Very nice, simple, and clean. Now, before the first wash is dry, I'm going to see if I can put some soft ripple on it. I'll make him a little bit smaller this time. Just try to just give that sense of distance here. So make sure your mixture is nice and dry. Okay, you don't want to mix a very wet mixture, which will just make this clean wash become kind of waterish, and you're gonna leave some weird watermark, which you don't want that. Okay, so smaller as we goes into the distance, and I think that will be it. Okay, that's our first wash. Okay, if you look at this, very simple. Okay, the only place that I slow down a little bit is the cloud, and honestly even that is very, very loose. So first wash is always the sky, the light, the atmosphere, and that's about it. Don't overthink on that. Don't try to do more than it should. Okay, I was hoping to add some warm light on the tree, but then I scratched that idea. I just wanted to keep it as simple, as clean as possible. So let me blow this dry so I can have a completely dry paper to work on my second wash. Alright, so what I'm gonna do, I will start with the building and there and out. Okay, so let me okay, now the one thing that we'll sort of have to do is to make as simple as possible. If you look at the photo, there's white here. Okay, is that there's white frame here, and then some dark and windows and all that. Okay, but if we try to paint everything the same, it's not going to. We're just asking for trouble. We're just making things more complicated than it should be. So what I'm going to do is I will just keep it very simple. Okay, so a little bit of shadow on the right side, since that's where the shadow falls. See where a hatch hints a little bit of shadow. I'm gonna do the shadow here and just give it a little bit of shadow for the structure, and that will be it. And okay, and just very simply do that. See, it's like just two shape, and that's it. Okay. And we'll have that some burnt sienna to get that warm brick look. And here on the left side, okay, a little bit of blue to get the shadow here, make it a little bit darker as well. Okay. So a little bit darker here, and I'll take that shadow across here, come down. I'm good, Sohan. I hope you're doing well as well. Okay, and there's a little shadow here as well. So I'm gonna take a clean brush, clean damp brush. I'm just gonna extend this wash down and let it be. Okay. Just gonna go ahead and start to do the building itself. Again, very simple. I really don't want to make this more complicated than it should be. Okay, it's the first thing we do, so it's very easy to overwork. Roof here. Keep your brushstroke simple, okay, and as few as you can make it. Okay, this is something I always try to tell my student and everyone who's watching and listening. Okay. So I'm just gonna use burnt sienna and just take that building down. There are some tree and stuff. We will be worried about those in a minute. Okay. Some water. I'm just gonna soften that. Okay. I'm going to spray a little bit there, keep that wet just a little bit longer. Okay, I'll do the tower here. See, I'm not touching this, so there's a little bit of empty gap here so they don't bleed. Okay, and bit of render here. We'll come back to it a little bit later. Actually, the pencil line is dark enough. I think that by itself is almost good enough for us to do that, to define that. Okay, so we got our building here, and I'm gonna just use clean water and soften the edge here. Bring that wetness over, so a little bit more water here. Okay, try to get some more shape going on here. So we got this nice warm color of the tree that's lit by the sun. I think it's like autumn time. So I think what I'm going to do is try to get a little bit of that color going on. So some Hansen yellow deep, and a little bit of raw sienna to get that really nice and warm color. Okay, so I purposefully take this nice big brush, so I will force myself not to focus on too much detail. This is really not a painting for that. So use the side of my brush to get a little bit quick dry brush mark like this. So we do have a little bit of silhouette here. Okay, if you can see that. We do have a little bit of dry, like a little bit of silhouette here, but as it comes down here, it merges with the building itself. Okay, so that wet on wet is magical. Okay, and while it is still wet, I'll just add some more yellow to it, and maybe a little bit of orange as well. Can get a smaller brush so that we can just get a little bit of control here. Okay, I'll bring the tree in a little bit, so that almost serves as a foreground as well. And very quickly, we can already just give it some volume. So a little bit of turquoise, burnt umber, a little bit of blue. We can give it some shadow here. Okay, a little bit of shadows on the bottom. Pretend this is some sort of like a mesh, like a sphere, so you get a little bit of shadow underneath here. Okay, add a little bit of warmth to it, so it have different color temperatures here. Okay, and I think this is pretty good. Bring this down. I'll worry about the bottom a little bit later. With white space, so I don't have to finish with squash. Yeah, I try to paint around some white spot, if possible. But again, I won't slow down too much because of that. If you slow down too much for that, it can become a little bit of an issue here. Okay, so we also got some nice warm colors here as well. Okay, there's some worms in here, and then we'll give a little bit of volume here, some soft shape, wet onto wet shape, like so. Okay. All right. We'll just do the roof for this guy here right now. Okay. Nice and easy, very simple. Leave a little bit of white here. Okay, here's a building here and another building here, some first wash of the tree, and that's pretty good. I mean, I'll soften this with a little bit of water, but the rest of us are pretty dark, so I don't need to worry about them just yet. Although I can add a little bit of light on the tree here already, so always the lightest part first, right? Watercolors from light to dark. If I'm painting with oil, then I'll just paint everything dark, and we can slap on some dark paint a little bit later, but this is what we should be doing right now. Okay, so already we're seeing some nice structure going on and some good lighting here, so I'll blow this dry, so we'll just continue on. I'll remember to mute this time. Alright, let's continue on, and we'll, try to go as fast as possible. I don't want to keep you here forever. Okay, so I think the first thing we're gonna do is to try to finish off the background first. So this building right here, this is dry, should be dry. So I'm just gonna add a little bit hints of the shadow on the bottom here, and just a little bit of hints on the side. Okay, just enough for it to read that there's a form changing, so it's not flat. Okay, so I'll reinforce the shadow here just a little bit. Okay, maybe a little bit of window here. Here, just add enough detail for it to look a little bit sophisticated, and that's all. Okay, and now we'll continue on with the building. So what I'm going to do is to grab a little bit of purple, some cool color, and we are going to paint some of the shadow here. It's really complicated, so I'll try to keep it as simple as I can. So leave some random highlight trying to think of the structure of the building, and a little bit of highlight here and there, but most of it try to keep it simple. Just don't use 1,000 brush stroke, that's all. Okay, a little bit of warmth down here. Okay, there are a bunch of people walking and stuff. We're not going to paint anybody. The scale is way too small for that anyways. So what we're going to do is to just leave a little bit of incidental highlight and just here. Okay, we're just gonna do that. There's some nice light on the bridge, so we'll try to maintain that. Okay, the shadow actually extend here. Okay. Here, just a light and shadow. Okay. A little bit neutral tint, and I'll just put some dark detail here. Okay. Okay, now not a lot of water, just mostly just some drier mixture. Again, if I start to mumble too much, let me know, because this is the part that I need to concentrate a little bit more. At the same time, if you have questions, do let me know as well. I'll try my best to answer you. Okay, now I am going to bring this over. Okay. So with this shadow, we connect it down here to the tree. So I'll paint around the light a little bit, so we still got some nice lights on the tree. But now that shadow connects, okay, which is something that I was planning to. Shadow of the building merge with the shadow of the tree, so they all connected somewhat. Okay. That's why planning is quite important for watercolor. If you don't plan, you'll be spending too much time thinking what to do next. And while you're thinking, your paint is dry and you're panicking, and you try to spend rest of your painting trying to fix things. And watercolor is not really fixable. Okay, once you put it down, once it's dry, it's done, it's finished. So plan your painting, very, very important. Some darker green. Okay, that tree goes up here. The side of the brush is a very useful tool to have some dry brush mark like this. There. Okay, so spray a little bit, bring out some textures. I'll also splatter a little bit. Things gets a little bit too clean for my liking. You always pick great subject. Yeah, I spent quite a bit of time to actually go through Google Map and looking for it. I mean, Amsterdam is a beautiful place, but just because it's beautiful not necessarily means it's very good for painting. So I do struggle a little bit trying to find the best subject to paint. I come across this and I thought, this I can paint. I can try my best to paint this. Alright, let's continue and just, okay, I'll keep this part light somewhat. So here's what I'm gonna do. There's a lot of very complicated stuff down here. People, car, tree, and so on. Okay, so but what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do all that much, like at all. Okay, it's paint something this complicated. The biggest task at hand for us is to simplify. And I think sometime when you look at a scenery as complicated as this, and you're focusing on where you're painting, you see all the little gizmo, little details, little contract there, and you try to start to paint them in. But if you step back a little bit and just look at the photo as a whole and you squint your eyes a little bit, a lot of things starting to merge. So what I'm going to do is to let's just make things very simple for us. So I'm just gonna do this. Okay, force myself not to overwork on anything. Okay, that might look crazy what I'm doing right now, but I am taking a leap of faith by just covering it up without going crazy with all the details and stuff. Okay. Okay, and here I think you're already starting to look better that way, because again it's just three big shapes, right? The sky, the water, and everything else. So if I start to break up the shape a little bit too much right off the bat, I am just setting myself up for a really complicated problem to solve. And since I don't want to create my own problem, let's keep things simple by doing that. Okay, and then of course while it is still wet, I can come back and add up things here and there. You know, some cool, some warm, everything is there. Just play with the color a little bit. I will squeeze some water out and add a little bit of light here. Okay, and I'll actually use clean water to soften this line here, so I can work on the reflection a little bit later without having it too hard of an edge. But this part is pretty much done in terms of making that shape here. Okay, so okay, now let me work on this side, which is mostly light. So what I'm gonna do is to just drop some water on it, and I will, that's a lot of umber. Okay, again, make some dark color and just go with it. Okay, so now I don't want to paint everything dark here because there's a lot more light here. I squeezed out fresh paint earlier, so that's why the paints are very thick right now. I tend to let them dry, so when the paints are dry, I need to dig a little bit deeper, but I forgot I paint some fresh paint in, so when I try to dig, too much paint come out. Gotta watch out for that. So okay, so mixture of hard edge, soft edge. Can we send you landscape photos for you to paint? You can send me, but I don't always able to paint what people submitted to me. I do that for my course, but aside from that, sometimes when people send me their photos, it's not really paintable for me. Like a lot of time when people tend to choose subject that lacing is good for painting, but sometimes when I'm looking at it, for me it's not really paintable. It doesn't mean it's a bad subject, it's just not something that I prefer to paint, so it can be a little bit difficult to work off somebody else's photo. Even in my course, when students send me photos, I tend to change things quite a bit before I start to really paint them and working on it. So, I mean, you can send me photo and ask me what I think, and if I have time, I can let you know if I think that would be a good subject to paint. But I got quite a bit emails. Sometimes it can be a little bit hard. Sometimes I might overlook some email and not able to answer all of them. Sometimes people are mad at me because I'm not able to reply all the emails, and I do apologize for that. But okay, so I am going to again try to make them very nice and simple. Okay, some more worms here. Okay, so just big shape, right? See, aside from the house and the tree, I didn't really paint anything else. Okay, all the details that I left out, a little empty space and stuff, these are all perceived detail. If I try to paint everything again, we will stay here for too long. We'll be here till doomsday and then still not finish the painting. So it's very important that I keep it as simple as possible. Okay, so again, there's a car here. I am not even going to try to paint it. I'll just leave some white space. So for whoever looking at that, wondering what that is, hopefully they can figure it out. If not, it'll be just a shape. And that's all that matters anyways, the shape. Right, already we got a major shape down, and that's the most important part of the painting. Let me actually make this a little bit more, a little bit warmer actually. I feel like it needs to be a little bit redder. Okay, that looks fine. Okay, I'll work on the boat a little bit and then we'll just start to do all the little detail works as well as the reflection. Got this nice warm red on the side of the boat here. So let's just paint that in. Okay. It's a little bit too much turquoise here because I dig a little bit too hard into the paint. Okay, so let's have some shadow here. Okay, leave a little bit of white here so the paint just don't just bleed in. Okay, and here keep the brush stroke minimum. Okay, there we go, nice and clean. And the blue boat here, oh, you're painting as well, that's great. Okay, the blue boat here, and I'll just keep it simple, the body of the boat right here. All right. Now I think I'm going to do the reflection here. There are still a lot of details that I want to touch on, but if we don't have time, then maybe just the reflection and then we're pretty much done. Okay. What's really important is the big shape once again. So the reflection are actually quite warm because the reflection are the trees, the building and such. So the reflection of sky, of course, they are pretty blue, but the tree and the building, they are all pretty warm colors, so the reflections are mostly pretty warm. So I'm gonna work out a nice big pile of paint here. Okay, so turquoise, burnt umber, and some blue here. Okay, I'll do a little bit of test. See how that looks. Okay, seeing that looks fine, so I'm just gonna go for it. Okay, so there we go. The reflection shape is going to be quite big, so that's why I use a nice big brush here. Okay. and start to watch out for the shape where the shape is going. Okay, so there's a nice light here because of the building. So I'm going to stop the dark reflection here and continue on. Okay. Okay. Keep it going. Try to finish it in one go. Also try to watch out for the shape. I'm sorry I'm not able to look at the chat right now because I really need to focus and get this done, so I will look at them a little bit later. Okay, so look at that, and we have the reflection of our buildings here on the top. Okay, try to finish in one go, so all the brush stroke I make, all the wash paint I make, they will merge into a single shape. If you spend too much time painting all the ripples and stuff and the paint starting to dry, you're not going to have a nice clean wash. That's just what happens. So I really need to work fast on this. Okay, a little bit cooler down here. Cover up a little bit, leave a little bit too much white here. Okay. Okay. Now, very quickly, I'm going to add a little bit of warmth here. While it is still somewhat wet. Okay. A little bit of yellow there. Okay, so it kind of reflects off the color of the tree and foliage, and there's some nice warm here because of the roof, so try to give him a little bit of that color as well. Okay, so just a little bit of hint, you don't need to do too much on that. Okay, just do that while it is still wet so you can finish that up. Okay. This will be some warm color reflection here because of the building. Okay, and just continue this reflection down here. And nice flowy ripples. Okay, so the reason I like this paint, this photo so much is because the ripple is so defined, so well defined, and the color on it is quite nice. Now, even though I'm not able to capture all of it in this quick painting, there's quite a bit of stuff for me to look at and to work at. So For example, those little worms here. And get a little bit of white here. Squeeze out my brush to get a little bit of pick up a little bit of paint here to get some light in here. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me step back and look at how it looks. Okay, it looks decent. And okay, so I think I'll just do a little bit of ripples. A little bit of what I call like loose ripples here and there. Okay. Okay, so there's some more stuff going on. Okay, I think this is looking decent. Okay, now it's drying, so I'm not gonna mess it up. What I'm going to do is just to blow dry this whole thing, and we'll finish our final touches. 10:27. We're well on our way to finish. Okay, let's start to look at some details that we can add that will just make the painting a little bit better. Okay, so well, let me finish up the boat here. Okay, so if we go to the boat here, okay, the boat kind of lack a little bit of definition, so I'm going to just, you know, add a little bit more shadow here, and there's a little bit of cast shadow here because the sun, you know, shooting there, so the edge of the boat is casting a little bit of the shadow here. Okay, actually, let's make it a little bit cooler. Okay, so, you know, just by adding a little bit of that, we got a nice form read here. Okay, and a little bit of that here. You can finish the other side of the boat here, like so. Here. Okay. Now that boat feels like there's a little bit of depth to it, and we do have a little bit of boat here, or whatever. So I'm just going to suggest a little bit. Sorry, I'm mumbling again. I'm just going to suggest a little bit of form here. So a little bit cooler here, and I think I will just let it come down like that, so that hints a little bit of reflection here. Okay, I'll define the reflection here a little bit more later, since it is dry. Actually, I think I can do that now. So just a little bit of ripple here. Just use clean water to fade some of this off, so it just blend with the background. We have some dark here. Inside of the building here, like there's like this little alley there. So let's give it a little bit of punch there. Let's just add a little bit more depth, but more importantly, that dark is reflecting down there as well. So we do have some dark here, and which also have our bridge sort of connect to that. Okay, so the water is not completely dry, so I'll try to leave it be for now. I'll work on something else for the time being. Okay. So I don't say I'm gonna touch the building much, but it feels a little bit flat here, so I'll just give a little bit of maybe window, whatever, something down here, a little bit perceived detail here. Luminosity, I think it's just a matter of paint less. Paint a little bit less and try to let the light go through the painting a little bit more, which is hard. I think one of the hardest things for watercolor is knowing when to stop, when not to paint anymore. And I am facing a lot of that question in my painting right now. Okay, so just a bunch of stuff here. While I am not going to define a lot of this, but I think a little bit of suggestive shape can still be very helpful. So some building behind the tree. Okay. Tree, buildings, windows, whatever, some shadows. Alright, so I will hint the car just a little bit by doing this. Give it a windshield. Maybe a little bit of wheel and the side. It doesn't even look like a car, but whatever, it's okay. That's not the point of the painting. I'm not even doing a street scenery, so the car actually doesn't have to look like a car. Okay, it just have to look like a shape, an interesting looking shape here. Okay. Okay, there's a shadow. Whatever that shadow is, I think it's interesting. Helps the form to read. And, give it a little bit of dark underneath here. Alright, we're done with this side, I think. Yeah, let's just call this side done. Let's work on this side. So this side, pretty much the same. There's not a lot more we can do, especially they are almost all in the shadow anyway, so don't bother too much. Okay, so a bunch of stuff here. There's even probably like 50 bicycle parked there. If I want to paint everything, I would just drive myself mad. So no. Okay. So just shape, okay? Shape, shape, shape. Push that form a little bit against the light. Some more shape here. A little bit of water, soften some of the shape, so it got some lost and found edge here. Okay, let me take a bigger brush. I want to darken this whole wall. Okay. Just darken it. See, simple. Now the thing that's left to do is here. Let's give it some nice dark. The part that the wall hits the water. Okay. We need some strong dark here. Okay. And I'll have a clean water and just bring that dark down. Okay, this is quite important because that makes this little hints of shadow shows that two surfaces intersect each other. Okay, so same thing here on the left. Okay, I'm gonna use a little bit of the paint here. I'm just gonna do a few birds in the sky and we are pretty much done here. Three here, two here, and I'll have another one here. Okay. Let me step back a little bit. Okay. Alright, so this is not completely dry, so if I try to do that, it's going to break some of the paint. Let me actually blow this dry real quick and see if I can reinforce that dark. Okay, I think this is dried enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to glaze the bottom of it to push the depth just a little bit more as my final touch. And then I'll actually also trying to get some of this soft dark going. So need a little bit of depths here, just a little bit warmer. No, not warmer, a little bit more of the blue color. So clean water, I'm just gonna soften this. Okay, so still have some light here, but as it comes down it gets a lot, so it gets a little bit deeper down here. So I'm also going to wet the edge here like so, and I'll come back some dark neutral tint. And there we go. I think this time it'll work a lot better. Okay. Yeah. This will also help the boat to sit on the water surface a little bit better. So. Here now you can kind of see that surface change. Okay, I think this is it. As much as I want to keep going, I don't think for this painting I should keep working on it too much. I think the point of the painting definitely come across. We got a nice sky, a little bit hints of cloud, and the big shape is the middle here, and we got our water here, which is the fun place to look at all the ripples and that boat here. Just a bunch of suggestion here. That's not even really the point of the painting. It just, you know, just a little things here and there for you to look at. Okay, I think that will be it. I think it'll be a good place to stop. Thanks for joining me and to kind of have fun with this painting. It's a pretty rough painting, but I hope you enjoy that, and hopefully I'll be doing another one sometime next week. If you have any question, do leave a comment and let me know. And if this is your first time watching, welcome, and I hope you subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon.